Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohio, everybody. What is going on? It is Galeriot here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi Memoria Freese video. And today we are going to be taking a look at the Knights of Fianna Part 1 gacha banners, both the honor banner as well as the loyalty banner. Now this video is exactly going to be designed and laid out just like yesterday's video where we talked about the Xenos reverse gachas. We're going to be taking a look at all 6 of these units, and we're going to be talking about how good they are still 1 year on from their release. Yes, it has been a year since their release, and we're going to be talking about whether or not they have stood the test of time. Now, of course, if you guys go on to enjoy this video, leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi and Danmachi Memoria Freese content, and let me know in the comment section down below, did you guys summon on the Part 1 gacha banners? Or if not, let me know why. If you did summon for it, let me know why as well. And of course, let me know as well if you guys still use any of these units, and let me know which ones you guys still use. I'm very curious to see what you guys say in the comment section down below in regards to that. Now, before we get into this video, I want to say this one point, right? I still believe these units are phenomenal. They are at the very minimum A tier. Honestly, I think at the very minimum they are A tier, frankly speaking. I would even go as far as to say at least 4 of these units that I'm seeing right here are probably still S tier, to be quite honest. They are that good in this day and age. However, even though they may be S tier, and frankly speaking, there is also all the possibility in the world that the 5th anniversary team alongside Hero Festa Bell, the light team, still stays strong after the 6th anniversary. There is all the possibility in the world that that will happen. It is only a possibility though. It is only a possibility though, and it's a very big risk you will be taking if you decide to summon for the Knights of Fianna Part 1 and Part 2 and Part 3 banners for the light units. You're going to be summoning for Fianna, you're going to be summoning for Lazar, you're going to be summoning for Finn, right? And then on top of that, you might even want to pull for potentially units like Kid Felice and Ryulu, who are still phenomenal units. All Kittian in the final banner, right? These guys are so good, right? But the big point is, we don't know how good the 6th anniversary units will be. There is an infinite amount of chances that they are going to be far and away superior, and there are also equally an infinite amount of chances that the light team might be able to still reign supreme after the 5th anniversary. Or 6th anniversary, I should say. I've gone back in time, clearly. No, but after the 6th anniversary, it's very possible that this team can still be dominant. That being said, though, we don't know, and I would rather hedge my bets on the 6th anniversary being better because of Danmemo's track record. Every anniversary, sometimes we always have these thoughts that, oh, how can they do better than the last anniversary? Surely Argonaut and Krozo, or Alize Lid and Kaguya, or, you know, Bell and Aisha can't be topped, right? Surely not. And then they come out with some units, and then they just put their, you know, just go all out, basically. You know, they go absolutely all out. So I would say be very careful on that front, and that, you know, these units are strong right now and may still be strong during the anniversary for a period of time, but then by the end of the anniversary things can massively change. So be very careful summoning on this banner. Furthermore, I would say that, you know, if you're not close to MLB and you're trying to MLB these characters, you are taking a big gamble with this, because unlike their original banners, the original anniversary banners, or even their first reruns, which I think were also double rates, these aren't double rates, right? So it's a very low likelihood that you will be pulling one of these units compared to what you used to be able to do because it was double rates, right? So something to bear in mind in regards to that as well, right? And then finally, this is mainly for people who are asking whether or not they should summon for these characters because of CP, right? And to answer your question, I would say that doing the first 2 multis to just get the 4-star guaranteed makes a lot of sense. Doing more and more multis, just try and get like Fianna, Helga, and Kid Felice, or like trying to get Ryulu, Melia, and Lazar is very risky, because your returns will be a lot less, you know, after you spend that much iris. And not only that, you need to also have the amount of CP items, the right amount of CP items to recuperate that that iris that you've spent on these units. So that's another point I would like to make, is that, you know, it may seem very much inviting that you should summon for these characters, because you can get new CP items or new CP characters, and you'll be able to get a lot of Iris accordingly, right? I've always said this, CP Iris is amazing. It's one of the best ways to get Iris. New players don't understand the bank of Iris they are sitting on when it comes to getting Iris from CP rewards. That being said though, one, you need to have the right amount of CP resources, which I don't think a lot of new players have. Along with that, if you are under a certain Iris amount, let's say you're under 12,000, I really wouldn't recommend summoning on these banners. And furthermore, if you are over 12,000 Iris, I still would only recommend doing like only the first 2 steps of these banners, to be quite honest. Just trying to get that first guaranteed unit and getting one of these and trying to get the CP for them, that's all you should be doing. Because frankly speaking, like I said, you will not recuperate that much Iris from these 6 characters within the next couple of weeks. It's a long-term process at that point, right? Unless you just grind the game again and again and let them on auto battle and gain CP that way. But again, I don't expect anybody to do that. So be very, very careful with how you're summoning on this banner and what you're summoning for. Again, if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section down below, or join in a future live stream. I will be live streaming sometime this week once again. So join the live stream and we'll talk about whether or not you should go for these banners or not, of course, right? So yeah, let me know in the comment section below if you have any further questions regarding, these units, and generally, whether or not you should do like a multi or 2 or whatever it may be. Let me know in the comment section down below. All right, let's start off with the first Knights of Fianna Part 1 banner. We'll start off with the Honor banner, the one that I actually have completely MLB. Unfortunately, this banner I don't have completely MLB. Lazar is still +0, but in terms of this banner, I have absolutely everybody MLB. So let's take a look at the banner itself, and let's talk about these units. And what better way to start than probably one of the best units in the game, a member of the light team, Saint's Spear Fianna. Probably the 3rd best light unit in the light team, basically, because I would probably say Hero Festabel is at top, then Finn, then Fianna, and then Lazar. There is also an argument to put Fianna over Finn in terms of just supportability with the extensions and everything, but I would say Finn is also up there. I mean, what he does is ridiculous with his special arts and his AoE skill. I think he's way better, actually. Honestly, I'd still put him over Fianna personally, but I know some people would probably want to put Fianna over Finn. Either way, Fianna, what makes her tick? What makes her so good? Well, first and foremost, a light unit, so fits extremely well with the light physical team, of course, right? I mean, if you take a look at her stats as well, really solid stats. 2200 strength, nearly 1000 plus dexterity, and a 1200 agility stat is really, really strong. Very, very strong. And then if you take a look at what her special arts and combat skills are, it's even better. So her special arts, Supreme Spear, is an AoE ultra light physical attack, damage plus 100% per each self SA gate charge buff effect, which means that she gets 200% damage overall. Very, very solid, because if you get the SA gate charge from an adventure and from the assist as well, that's 200% in total, right? So very solid. 200% damage on AoE is fantastic. And ultra penetration rate and self 80% MP heal, which if she has any sort of MP issues, which she tends to have, it's alleviated by her special arts. Furthermore, 4 additional actions of high light physical attack and status debuff on foes and status buff on allies plus 2 turns. So what she gets here is effectively an extension of debuffs on the enemy and an extension of status buffs on allies for 2 turns. And it's, I think, fantastic. It's honestly one of the best special arts in the game, to be quite honest, frankly speaking. I think it's really strong. Along with the extension, the additional actions as well is fantastic to have. She's really good. She's really, really good with the special arts effect. Again, that extension makes her a phenomenally valuable option. In fact, what she does is she basically enables the team, to be quite honest, right? Because frankly speaking, you would have had to 100% run 9-tailed manifestation Haruhime no matter what, because of the fact that, Haruhime can extend status buffs and the opponent's status debuffs. But because Fianna is able to do this, and then if you chuck in a DPS unit that can potentially heal, which we'll come on to in part 2 of the Knights of Fianna banner in a week's time, but if you bring in somebody who can heal or bring in another DPS option, well, you don't need Haruhime anymore, because Fianna will do the job for you, basically, right? So that's the big advantage Fianna has in this situation, basically, right? And what she can bring to the table for the light team effectively. So let's take a look at the first skill now. Combat skill Holy Thrust is a single target, fast, high, light, physical attack damage plus 100% per each self SA gate charge buff effect and ultra penetration rate. So basically exactly the same as the special arts, but this one is single target. So what it makes Fianna be against single target enemies is a powerhouse. Once again, a really strong attacking unit for single target stages as well, and that makes her a great PvE option as well. There's a reason why I say that the light team is just far and away superior, is because they've given them such strong effects on every skill they have. Even the single target skill for Fianna is really strong. Now the only thing is, right, it's not the best, especially if you take a look at some of the units that have come across in the last couple of weeks and months, to be quite honest, because obviously a lot of units now have a fast super, or just super I should say, a super modifier rather than a high modifier on their single target skills, while also having like 180% damage boost or 200% plus damage boost, which makes them obviously superior compared to Fianna in terms of damage. But that's still a strong ability though. That's still a very, very strong ability. Salvation Spear, her second combat skill, is an AoE fast super light physical attack with temporary strength boost and ultra encounter rate and status buff and ally status debuff -2 turns. So basically it's the inverse of her special arts and her upcoming third skill. Basically what this does is that it reduces the amount of turns the status buffs are on the enemy, and also the amount of turns your debuffs are on you, basically, right? So it basically makes sure that if you're going up against, say for example, a unit that has too many buffs on for like 3-4 turns or whatever it may be, you're basically slashing it in half with Salvation Spear. Very strong skill, and in fact a very, very popular skill to use in game modes like war games. There's a reason why she's still used in war games. Very strong unit, very, very strong second skill. Agios Amnesia, the third skill of Fianna. Allies SCR magic, endurance, agility, and dexterity plus 40%. A very, very, you could say, low buff, but it's a solid buff nonetheless, because it's all 5 stats and it's to all allies. Furthermore, it's also giving all allies SA gate charge gain plus 33%, and she gives herself light attack damage plus 100% for 4 turns. Very strong additional self buff there. Honestly, very, very strong additional self buff there. And then along with that, she gets 3+ actions of mid light physical attack and status debuff on foes and status buff on all allies plus 2 turns. Again, very similar to the special arts effect here when it comes to the additional action. In fact, exactly the same. And you know, it's just so good. It's just so good. And once again, like I said earlier on, when it came to the whole Haruhime thing and everything, she just becomes an enabler for the light physical team, which makes her a fantastic option. Really strong unit. There's a reason why she's still used to this day, to be quite honest, and it's because of all of these abilities, you know, the SA gate charge, the ability to give those 5 additional boosts basically to the team, the ability to extend those status debuffs and status buffs on foes and allies respectively, and then of course you've got the single target skill furthermore enhanced by the special arts, which makes her a great option for both PvE, and then of course in the case of PvP she's great with her second skill and even to an extent her special arts as well. So once again, a really strong option for any player, honestly, for any player. She's so good. It's gonna be very interesting to see how they build the upcoming anniversary team, because frankly speaking, what makes the light team so good is it's all about synergy and cohesion, right? And having a unit like Fianna that's giving that much support. We'll talk about Lazar and Finn in the coming weeks as well, right? But because of what she's doing, she's just enabling the team. You'll also see the reasons why the other units are also enabling the rest of the characters on the team. What their team is entirely doing, the light team that is it's enabling one another. There's a reason why they're so good anywhere they're put into, to be quite honest. Be it 7 Zone, Bracket Buster, War Games, anywhere you look, they're still phenomenal options for a specific reason. Now, let's take a look at Knight Advisor Helga, another unit that actually is pretty darn good, frankly speaking, more so for war games, but she can still hold her own in PvE content as well. Very good stats, as you can see here, nearly 2,150 strength, a little bit more than that, 979 dexterity, just under 1,000, 1254 agility, very good agility stat. Now, let's take a look at her special arts. Blaze of Eldaria. Foes Ultra Thunder physical attack, and of course no signal, so I can't read the text. Come on, there we go. Ultra Thunder physical attack with temporary great strength boost and ultra critical rate, and remove status buffs and stun and self plus reactions of mid thunder physical attack on foes, and 60% slow and 40% chance to stun. A lot of stuff is happening here. A lot of stuff is happening here. So first and foremost, let's take a look at the kit itself, the first part of the kit. Ultra Thunder physical attack with temporary great strength boost and ultra critical rate. Very basic, nothing too crazy, nothing to write home about. Frankly speaking, her special arts is okay against PvE content. For PvP, however, what makes her so good is that she can remove the status buffs, she can stun, and she also has additional actions for slow and stun. Really solid ability, very strong special arts if you take her into a game mode like war games and you're able to pull her special arts off to get the ailments off. Very nice, very nice. First combat skill is Hasta Oberon. This is a weird period where for the anniversary, I think a lot of the units had their single target skills as their first skill, whereas most units usually have it as their third skill, if you have noticed that, by the way. It was something that it was kind of weird that they did for this anniversary. But Hasta Oberon is a single target super thunder physical attack, damage plus 90% per each target's P-res reduction skill and ultra critical rate. I would say that, you know what, this ability, right, this super thunder physical attack damage plus 90% is a little bit better than that one over there, even though it's 200% damage from Fianna on that first skill. What this is it's a super modifier, and if I'm not mistaken, a super modifier has about a 30% to 40% increase over high. Somebody can correct me in the comment section, I don't exactly remember, but that's the reason why I would say that this actually hit a little bit more than Fianna's ability, funnily enough. So that's something to bear in mind. That being said, though, I do prefer the penetration rate over the critical rate. I do tend to like penetration rate a little bit more, to be quite honest. Her second skill, Twin Spear Strikes, is an AoE super thunder physical attack with temporary strength boost and ultra on counter rate, and agility and P-res minus 40% for 5 turns, and self plus 2 actions of mid thunder physical attack foes, and 60% chance to slow and 30% chance to stun. So looking at that first part, right? So the first part, not too crazy. Super thunder physical attack, temporary strength boost, very simple, very simple, nothing to write home about, right? Now let's take a look at the debuffs. Agility and P-res minus 40% for 5 turns. A fantastic ability to have in war games. Again, war games is an agility playground. I've always said this. You're always focused on who's going first unless you're called stall, right? Or ailment as well, to be fair. But you're all about trying to, you know, manipulate the agility to go into your favor. Sometimes you want to go slow on purpose. Sometimes you want to go fast on purpose. So you have to deliberate all of this, and of course you need to have things like this in going with you in terms of, you know, the consideration when building a team, right? And there's a reason why she was so good at the start. I remember initially I wasn't the biggest fan of her. I really liked the agility debuff, but I really liked what Fianna was offering. At the time I was really liking what Fianna was offering, and I got really disappointed that I kept pulling her. I think I got her +5 within like 7 multis, and I kept over pulling and I kept getting her. I never got Fianna. I think I got +3 on Fianna, had to get one from the heroic trials and then bond one through the gnome tickets. But either way, that's the past. Looking back at this unit, very good unit. I underrated her when she first came out, but she is so good. That agility debuff and P-res debuff at the time was fantastic, and then on top of that you add in the whole ailment factor as well. If you were going up against an enemy that wasn't caring too much about their ailments, which is rare, to be fair, but still, you see these people who, you know, try and ignore ailments, you were getting into a big fight against this Helga, man. This Helga was something else. Now, Plenus Animo, the third skill, is a self-fast 40% HP heal and 40% HP regen, which is kind of nice. And STR Dexterity, Thunder Attack Damage, P-res and M-res, sorry, plus 60% for 3 turns. And Foes, Thunder Res, Slow Res, and Stun Res minus 40% for 1 turn. Again, going in from Twin Spear Strike to Plenus Animo, it's just like game over, GG, goodbye kind of thing, right? With all the resist downs and everything, the boosts as well, you were just in for a treat there. Basically, you were in for a treat. Very good units, very, very strong. Here are their passives as well, if you want to take a look at their passives. Very solid for both. Thank you, Elgato. Please come back to me sometime soon. There we go. So very not bad passives whatsoever. Definitely a little bit more damage oriented with Helga, with the critical damage as well as penetration damage, whereas you know, Fianna has the same, but it's only 20% for both. Then of course P-Res M-Res plus 30% for Fianna, so a little bit more defensive boost there, which was not bad whatsoever. Now take a look at Kid Felice, probably a unit that's still to this day an amazing gem, to be quite honest. Even though we of course have the Astri from the 3rd anniversary rerun, who also has the same debuff ability, Kid Felice is still used more so because of what she can do. So her MLB assist skill is an AoE damage received attack type single target plus 25% on foes, which is fantastic. Again, really strong. That allows you to get a huge increase in damage for game modes like Record Buster and stuff, right? Going from 20% to 25%, it was massive at the time. And then on top of that, you also reduce their critical rate by 25% and give all allies STR, magic, agility, dexterity, and endurance. While it may not seem a lot with that last ability, right, the allies 5 boost, I would say, the quintuplet boost, I think that it's still a great addition, because especially when you have units that, you know, deal extra damage because they need, you know, for example, endurance buffs for some reason, right? Some of these units may want that, right? If they want endurance buffs, a unit like Kid Felice can offer that, because you don't want to give, you know, you don't want to get rid of a assist that you have that gives like 25% STR for a unit that gives 25% endurance to the whole team. You're losing out on damage actually instead. So it's way better to run a unit like her, where you're gonna need a unit that increases the damage received from single target attacks, but you're also needing a unit that needs endurance buff. So you have a unit like Kid Felice right here. So makes her a great option. Honestly, still a fantastic option. A lot of people use her to this day, and a lot of people will probably use her for a foreseeable future unless they release a 30% single target damage increasing unit, basically. So really strong. There's a reason why I have all 3 of these units MLB, because they're all very good. All right, now let's take a look at the Loyalty Knights of Fianna Gacha banner featuring Melia, Riolu, and Lazar. So let's take a look at Lazar first and foremost. The unit I have only at +0, unfortunately. Knight Companion Lazar Diamar is a Earth single target physical attacker. And yes, I did say single attacker. He is a single attacker. 2168 STR, not bad whatsoever. Dexterity 947, agility 904. I think the dexterity could have been a little bit better for what being a single target unit. It is a little bit low, but still, it is what it is. That's what they gave him. That's what he gets. Now, let's take a look at the special arts. Night Strike. So it's a single target Ultra Earth physical attack damage plus 100% per each target skill effect that increases damage received attack type single target. So 200% in total there. Once again, very strong ability and ultra critical rate. But what he does here, and if the Elgato would come back, please, the cord has fricked me over 3 times today in this video. Allies STR plus 120% for 2 turns. Now, at this point in time, I don't think we had a unit that gave allies STR 120% for his time. Unbelievable. What a unit. 120% STR is insane. It was insane at the time, because we were running units like Haruhimes and stuff like that that gave only 100%. Actually, let me have a quick look and peek. Actually, I might be forgetting. Maybe the 4th anniversary Haruhime gave 120% STR in magic. Let me just double check though. I could be wrong. I don't want to be wrong for this video, so I'm gonna correct myself in the video itself. So where are the Haruhimes? There we go. So this Haruhime, what did you give? Okay, no, she did give 120% STR magic. That's what I was thinking. I felt like a Haruhime gave that before, but I wasn't sure which one. Okay, I stand corrected. Ignore what I just said. Still very strong though, because this was the first time we got it on a DPS unit. That was the wrong banner. This is the first time we got it on a DPS unit. And like I said earlier on with the Fianna, right, is that, you know, it's great and all having a 4th support unit, but if you can get that DPS unit, because the name of the game when it comes to Record Buster, Familiar Rush, and any of these game modes, it's about maximizing all the damage you can get. And of course, having a DPS unit that can also be the supporting DPS unit, well, what better than using that unit rather than Haruhime, right? So that's what makes this Lazar so good as well, is that he gives that STR 120% for 2 turns to all allies. Now, combat skill number 1, Heavy Sword Thrust. Foe mid-earth physical attack and earth res minus 40% and damage received attack type single target plus 30% for 4 turns. Don't need to talk too much about that. Very nice debuff ability, 40% down on earth res, as well as increasing the single target damage received plus 30% on foes. Very solid. And then 4 additional actions of mid-earth physical attack, a foe with high penetration rate. Again, very simple, very straightforward. I feel like these single target units are the easiest to break down because they're just so straightforward. It's ridiculous. Inspiring Flash. Foe super earth physical attack with high penetration rate and status debuff plus 2 turns and self plus STR plus 70% and earth attack damage and counter rate plus 100% for 2 turns. Very strong ability here. So again, just like Fianna, he does extend the enemy status debuffs by 2 turns, but also on top of that, he gives himself such a nice buff here, 70% STR and then earth attack damage and counter rate plus 100%. Again, counters are so important in game modes like Record Buster because it's extra chip damage that you can get. So giving himself extra counter rate here is fantastic. I will say this, the STR 70%, you might be like, well, why didn't they make it just 100%? Well, on his special arts, he gives himself 120%, so why wouldn't you have that, right? So yeah, there you go. Sharp Strikes, the 3rd skill for Lazar, is a single target super earth physical attack damage plus 120% per each target's STR and P-res buffs and high critical rate, and it removes STR and P-res buffs. Now, you might be thinking, 240% damage here and super earth? Well, you have to remember that he also does remove these buffs afterwards. So it's only one big hit, and then you have to wait until the enemy restores those buffs, right? And the thing is, you're not gonna get 480% or how much ever you think that you'll get, because the enemies in Record Buster and Familiar Rush and stuff like that, they don't have assists. So unfortunately, the maximum you can get with this ability is 240%, but it's also only like a once hit. I mean, this isn't the last we'll see of this ability, by the way. There's another unit that will be coming up in the next week that has an ability like this, actually, funnily enough. We'll get to that in a future video, of course. Next up, we have Melia here, Knight's Bow Melia, a balance type unit, a wind balance unit. A very interesting unit and a very strong unit, to be quite honest. 1914 STR, but that's not something to care about too much because the fact that she's a support unit, a balance type unit. Good agility though and good dexterity. Those are the things that you're kind of looking out for here, basically. So her special art Sacred Bow Dance is a AoE Ultra Wind physical attack with temporary great strength boost and Ultra on guard rate and wind res minus 60% and allies wind attack damage plus 100% for 2 turns. Not a bad ability. In fact, I would say that's not bad at all for especially game modes like Record Buster and stuff like that, if the enemy didn't debuff or strip away their own debuffs or strip away your buffs, right? But unfortunately, that does happen in almost every Record Buster. Actually, no, it does happen in every Record Buster, I should say, right? So it kind of becomes a little bit invalid, unfortunately. And even for war games, I would say that that's a very not so great ability because 1, temporary great strength boost, and 2, you probably want to special arts with your stronger units, you know, in terms of their stats and stuff. So probably not the worst, but it's just their kind of thing, right? Now her first combat skill is Sanctus Arcus. It's a single target super wind physical attack with temporary great strength boost and ultra penetration rate and allies ailment cure. Nothing crazy, it's okay. Temporary great strength boost on a single target skill is something that I'm not a fan of, and allies ailment cure is again not bad at all, but I mean, you'll have glorious anklets for PvE content, so it doesn't really matter too much there. Alchem Vilberer is a AoE fast super wind physical attack with ultra on counter rate and STR magic and dexterity minus 45% and self STR agility plus 60% for 4 turns and 3 additional actions of mid wind physical attack on foes. So this is where Melia comes into her own. So far, you can tell that it's been a little bit okay, but this is where she shines a lot. So first and foremost, SR Magic Dexterity, 45% decrease on enemies. Fantastic. Really, really good skill. Also, add on top of that, it's a fast ability, so it makes her go first, of course, as always. So really strong there. She also gives herself STR and Agility plus 60% for 4 turns, which can be good and bad, of course, right? Especially if you're going up against a unit like Bell and Ryu or Vesta, depending on that. And then, of course, the 3 additional actions are nice. But what makes it so good is what follows up after it. Archer Cheer, AoE fast, agility, P-res, guard rate, and counter rate minus 35%, and allies penetration rate and wind attack damage plus 60% for 1 turn, and removes STR and agility debuffs. Very strong skill. To this day, this is a very strong skill because what it does is it debuffs the enemy's agility. It also strips away any agility debuffs that you had and just gives you an opportunity to go all out on that second turn. Very, very strong ability. Still to this day, very much used. You know, you go from second skill to third skill. That's the idea with this Melia, basically. Very strong skill. And we'll take a look at their passives, of course, as you can see right here. Not bad for Melia, nothing too crazy, to be quite honest. Her counter skill is probably the most interesting thing because, you know, you can counter and remove agility buffs, but again, it depends on if you counter. And then, of course, your boy Lazar just has a massive amount of critical damage and counter damage to going for him. So there is that. And now we look at Ryulu, who also has pretty much stood the test of time, only been outdated a little bit, I suppose, with obviously the Allen. I was gonna say Althea for some reason, I don't know why. The Allen assist from the 3rd anniversary, getting his buff and becoming basically the same or similar-ish to Ryulu, of course, with the agility debuff. And then but at the same time, this is a 5th anniversary unit, and of course that's a 3rd anniversary unit. The 3rd anniversary unit, we don't know when we'll get back, so of course having her back around, and if you have her at +4, I really wouldn't blame you if you went back in for her, because as I've always said, War Games is a bit of an agility playground, right? It's a matter of maths, basically, when it comes to agility. So you want to try and optimize your agility to go as fast as possible or go as slow as possible. And if you're wanting to go as fast as possible, Ryulu will help you in that because it debuffs the opponent's agility by 20% and also reduces the opponent's penetration rate by 30%. She also has some instant effects as well, where she gives the character she's on 50% P-res and M-res for 1 turn, and along with that 80% HP heal on self, which is not bad at all, of course, right? So very solid assist here, of course, right? But I would say that if I had to choose between these two banners, I would probably prefer this banner. I just feel it's far superior with all 3 units. These units are still good though. They are still very good. Each one of them would, like I said, you know, both, I feel like, I mean, I would say this for all of the Knights of Fianna banners, right? Part 1, 2, and 3, all 5 of them, I should say. Sorry, part 2 only had 1. But all 5 of these banners, all of these units are still A tier in my personal opinion. I think all of them are far and away just smack dab in A tier. Now, of course, they are, you know, jumbled up a little bit in A tier. We'll make a tier list in the future and we'll talk about that in more detail. But most of these guys are in A tier, if not S tier. So, like I said, they're fantastic units. But at the same time, like I said at the start of the video, you have to be very careful. Even though I say it's an A tier banner or an S tier unit and stuff like that, you have to remember the anniversary can shift everything on its head. So I wouldn't necessarily, you know, make you guys summon on these banners and, you know, tell you guys to summon on these banners because of the fact that the anniversary is right around the corner. So be very, very, very careful with what you're summoning on. Thank you guys so much for watching this video though, nonetheless. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi and Danmachi Memoria Freese content. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.